Hi, my name is Elena. I was a federal employee who, like tens of thousands, was unlawfully terminated because my role was in my role for less than a year and therefore did not have full protections yet. The stated reason, as we've heard, it was for performance, despite having a positive record. I'm here to explain how having my job suddenly and illegally ripped away has impacted my life. Quote, "The way to greater American prosperity is encouraging people to move from lower productivity jobs in the public sector to higher productivity jobs in the private sector." That was a line in one of the many chaotic, conflicting, and often threatening emails that I and 2.4 million other federal servants received from the Office of Personnel Management and the Department of Government Efficiency. I was in disbelief when I read that line, and I'm still floored and angry at how insulting, dismissive, and flat out wrong that statement is. I could talk about how my job was to help agencies and their services be more efficient and was terminated anyway, and how it was an honor to serve my country. But for the sake of time, I want to keep the focus on the last part of that sentence, the way to greater American prosperity. Is being terminated with 20 minutes notice and based on a lie about my performance the way to greater American prosperity? No. Because of the reckless actions of this administration, I've been unemployed for over a month. I lost my health insurance, I didn't get a severance, so I'm tapping into my emergency fund to pay my rent and bills. I've been dropped into a saturated job market. The private sector layoffs are not easing up and hiring is slowing down. And we're teetering on the edge of an economic recession, the second of my generation's adulthood that created for me 15 years of low-paying or unstable jobs, freelancing without benefits, and a competitive job market where an undergraduate degree that I still have student loans for was no longer a leg up. I had hoped that this federal government job, the job that took me 11 months to interview for and pass security background checks to start, could finally provide the stability that my partner and I, sorry. That my partner and I needed to achieve the things long considered to be the American dream. Now we are forced to put our plans of starting a family, of owning a home, on hold indefinitely. And I fear that this disruption of this dream will be felt for the rest of our lives. A version of my story is happening right now for an estimated 200,000 other federal employees and their families across the country, and more soon with the upcoming reductions in force that are soon to hit the rest of the federal government. Is dumping a high record number of people on unemployment and growing recession the way to greater American prosperity? And along with that, this administration is eliminating how our society ensures we have decent education, safe and reliable food, scientific research advances, consumer protections, clean air and water, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, international diplomacy, civil rights, democratic values, and all of the things that once made this country the place where greater prosperity was possible. It's that prosperity that my grandparents were able to immigrate here to achieve, only to have it now become unachievable for their descendant. Is dismantling our public institutions and services the way to greater American prosperity? So I ask, who exactly are the ones prospering? Because the moves that this administration is making increase the prosperity for billionaires while stripping it away from us, the people. How much more loss can our economy, our health, our society, and all of our dignities take? How long will our elected officials be willing to allow true American dreams to be ripped away from the working and middle class families? And how long will regular people like me tolerate it? I thank you, Attorneys General, for doing what's right and fighting with us. And thank you, everyone, for being here. I urge everyone to join in and fight back. Call your representatives, hold them accountable, and don't let up. We need to take back our democracy so we can start rebuilding the workforce that provides the public services we need to survive in this country, the things that make it possible to actually create the way to greater American prosperity for us all. Thank you.
Elena, could you hang on? So one of the important reasons for us to be here is that this happened in Phoenix too. We learn new information, okay? And I want to ask this of you, and at some point we need to get the information from the other fired federal employees. You're a probationary employee, correct?
Correct.
And you haven't. Let me ask you: have you been contacted by the Trump administration, or is it the VA that you worked at? No, okay, your agency to be rehired yet?
I have not.
Okay, so we won a case last week. Two federal judges, including in a lawsuit that the AG's filed, won a case last week that requires them to rehire you. And so, but what we're hearing is you have not been rehired. What we're hearing is you have not been rehired yet. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and then we want that information from the other individuals. Have you been recontacted by your agency? And it will go into it. We'll use that to make our decision about whether we go back and seek a motion to compel against the administration.
Thank you.
Good job. Again, you know, these hearings, they're not just speak outs. We're actually gathering evidence from you. When we go and file a lawsuit and then go into court and get a temporary restraining order or a preliminary injunction and they're not doing it, we need to know about that. And so thank you for having the courage to come forward. If you don't speak today, it's okay. Reach out to my office, and if you live in Minnesota, and we will bring this evidence forward. Real quick, everybody, real quick, very quick, write this number down. Y'all ready? Write it down. I'm going to give you a few seconds. I'll repeat it later. 651-296-3353. So, who didn't get it? 651-296-3353, and our call center going to be live, ringing tomorrow, ain't it? But we need you guys to call in because we go to court, we fight these cases, we win them, and sometimes they don't comply, and we need to know. So, yeah, we can. There are a lot of things. We can bring a motion to enforce. We can bring perhaps a motion for contempt. There's a lot of things, but if we don't know, then we certainly can't do anything, right? So can you guys call if you don't hear about this? If you don't hear from the Trump administration that you're about to be rehired, we need to know about that if you're a federal probationary employee. Keith,
can I speak to that too? So this came up in Arizona as well. What happens when they violate a federal judge's order? And it happened in AG James can speak to this, but we saw them violate the federal funding freeze order that AG James and the AGs won in New York. In front of a New York federal judge. We brought a motion, Tish, was it a motion to compel or motion to compel, and then we forced them to comply. So, Tish, do you want to add to that?
We've been talking about our great work, but I guess everyone needs to know the cases that we've been involved in, and if it relates to your particular situation and you feel that you haven't received relief, then you should reach out to AG Ellison's office or any of our offices. The first case we won was birthright citizenship. We got a TRO. So no. There's a lot, so don't just hold your applause, okay? So. Birthright citizenship, it's important that individuals understand we won that case. 2, funding freezes that New York brought from the Office of Management and Budget. Basically, when they wanted to pause all of the funding to all of these agencies, we got a TRO. Then we discovered that, in fact, there were still funding freezes all over the nation, and we filed a motion to compel, and they lifted the pause. And that's why we need to get more information from you. DOGE. We went in to DOGE and to Elon Musk and his Musketeers, and we also, because they gained access to our sensitive information, and we were able to get a TRO as well as a PI. National Institute of Health, that grants. Somebody said, woo, they got a grant. Obviously, National Institute of Health, which provides grants for individuals who are doing great work, like finding a cure to cancer and Parkinson's and heart disease, all of that. And a lot of these institutions and universities are economic engines for communities. I know in my respective, in the state of New York. Federal workers, probationary workers, we got a TRO, we got a PI, and so if you were a probationary, a temporary restraining order and a preliminary injunction. In other words, you don't need to know the language. We won. That's it. Education. Also, we filed an action in anticipation of what happened today, and we will probably amend that case and get a preliminary injunction as well. Gender affirming care. For the trans community. And let me just say, we don't need the government in our doctor's office, not only for gender affirming care, but also for reproductive care as well. Trans-military ban on labor. The reason why we've got the middle class is because of all that labor has done. The reason why we enjoy all of these laws, working overtime, the fact that we've got sick leave, and the list goes on. And the reason why we've got a strong middle class is because of the labor movement. And as a proud unionist, it's important that we stand up for labor. Yes. So on March 5th, when we joined a multi-state regarding the National Labor Relations Board, and that judgment was granted as well. TPS for Venezuelans, for Haitians, we won that case as well. DEIA, diversity, equity, and inclusion, it's not just for people of color, it's for women, it's for the disabled community, and the list goes on. We've written letters, and we are prepared to take action with respect to that case. The Alien Enemies Act, you all heard what is happening, unfortunately, yes, to the gentleman who was deported and now was transferred to New Jersey. A number of us are taking action. I know here in my office, we are monitoring the situation and speaking to the attorneys as well. The bottom line is that all you should walk away from knowing is that, again, attorneys general, Democratic attorneys general, all 23 of us are working in tandem. We're walking in the same direction, and that is protecting the rule of law and protecting the rights of all Americans. The bottom line is, if this applies to you, any of these cases, and you feel that you haven't received any relief, if you've suffered irreparable harm, reach out to Keith Ellison. If his numbers are jammed, call the next state, I guess, is call all of us.